That's right. It's finally here. After nearly 2 months in the alpha branch, update 99 is finally among us. And yeah, new this update, new take and hold level. These also there was in take and hold lobby. New explosive toys like C4 laser claymores. New climbing tools and new destructible furniture to spawn in proving ground. Ooh, nice. But of course, we got a bunch of new pistols to play with, but we're gonna do this a piece at a time. So, roll the intro. Greetings, comrades! This is Surrogate Kill 'em All, and welcome to another H3VR video. Yes, as you saw in the intro, at long last, Update 99 is an H3VR. And with it, a slew of new toys to play with, and this isn't only cool stuff that's being added. As you saw in the little changelog at the beginning, we recently got a new take and hold level, which is based on the Winter Wasteland from Meatmas 2020, and also added a new take and hold character, and new ways of traversing maps, like climbing axes, a grapple gun. I'm going to show those off next video. And new explosive toys. I'll show that off. This is going to be a two-part video. I figured we'd get the fun stuff out of the way first. And I guess we'll start off with the new Beretta Pistols, or rather, the new old Beretta Pistols, I should say. Now, as I showed off in the previous video near the end, I showed off the old Beretta M9A1 and M9A3. See, now they look a little better, actually. A little more detailed and, yeah, very nice. Of course, they use the same magazines, obviously. This is Beretta M9A1, and here's the A3. Still got the nice tan slide and grip there. Yeah, it definitely looks a little better than the old one. Like, still got the threaded barrel, so you put a silencer on it if you want. But big thing are the two brand new Beretta Pistols. I'll go ahead and show them off through here. I don't necessarily think this needs an introduction, but this is the original M9. Before the M9A1 that we usually see in movies and games and stuff, there was this. Now, yeah, this is what you saw in like movies and games during the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s. Yeah, it looks a lot different than the A1, doesn't it? You see a lot of the design features. Still gotta get the safety up there, the mag release, slide release, all that stuff. But notice something a little different. That's right. The M9 does not have a rail on the bottom, whereas this does. But other than that, they're pretty much the same pistol. Actually, let's go and spawn lock this real quick. But yeah, the M9 is basically the first of the popular Beretta pistols that we know and love today. And ones you see these days, of course, the M9A1 with the Picatinny rail on the bottom, and sometimes the M9A3, which is still used by military forces in the US. But anyway, still fires as it should. But you'll notice this nice one here, the Beretta M92 Inox, or M92FS here. It's pretty much the same as that, only, as you can tell, nice metallic finish here. I want to say silver, but it's not completely true. But it's the same gun, just looks a lot nicer. So yeah, nice Beretta Pistols. Nice to see these looking much better. Now let's get to, you've already seen this weapon before, the FAMAS, but the Berettas weren't the only guns that got a little refresher. The FAMAS not only got a refresh, but also got a new variant. We got the F1, which is already in the game, and we got the newer G2. So, I guess I'll show this off. Now, we've already seen this gun in the previous video. We still got the integrated bipod charging handle up there, but this has been refreshed because it uses a different mag. Now, as I mentioned in the Black Ops video when I showed this off, the original F1 variant, it had problems loading up brass cartridges because they're called overpressure inside the gun itself, which would cause jams. So they had to refresh it, and thus FAMAS G2 is created. Not only does it feed brass reliably, it can actually use Stanag magazines as opposed to these proprietary magazines this uses. And yeah, as I mentioned, it had problems using brass cartridges. They had to use steel casings for their original F1 design of the FAMAS. But yeah, it's pretty much the same gun, single fire, burst, all that stuff. But now let's show off the G2. As I mentioned, it improves in the original. Might as well show them side to side. Yeah, they look... You notice this is a different foregrip, and this little handguard there. And of course, the biggest difference, of course, the magazines we're using, instead of the proprietary FAMAS magazine, it could use standard Stanag magazines. As I mentioned, it feeds brass cartridges effectively as opposed to the F1. No full auto for these, but you know, the FAMAS is known as a burst weapon. Now let's get to some bizarre weapons, shall we? Well, most of these are bizarre, but might as well show them off through here real quick. The first revolver, they're all revolvers by the way. As you saw in the previous, an older devlog for Update 99, Anton added a few new revolvers, and they're pretty bizarre. The first of these bizarre weapons is the Dardic Revolver, also known as the Dardic 1500. Bizarre looks like a sci-fi pistol from like the 1950s. Now, bear with me, this is a magazine-fed revolver. I am not kidding. I'll let Brian explain it.
Yes. The Dardic Model 1500. As Sergei said, it is a magazine-fed revolver designed in the 1950s by David Dardic. The weapon's design was based around the use of the round, or triangular round. However, because of malfunctions and low production, the project was discontinued, with only around 100 guns ever being made.
Yes, it's a very interesting weapon because it uses a special round, 38 round. It's basically a polymer casing with a triangular coating, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But what's interesting about this revolver, you get a little opening door here, and it actually uses stripper clips. But the thing is, this weapon holds 15 rounds, whereas the stripper clip only holds 10. Basically, you load it just like with the bolt actions from World War II. Just slide them in, take that out. Then I guess you take another one. Well, it actually loads 3 rounds in there, but the thing with this, you kind of have to rotate the cylinder a certain way to load the other ones in. It's pretty bizarre. I've honestly never seen a weapon like this before. Yeah, I suppose it holds 15 rounds, but it's kind of tricky loading the other 2 in the armor itself. But those are the casings that disappeared. Really interesting revolver, not going to lie. What's even more interesting is a carbine variant. Literally the same thing, just obviously with a stock and a longer barrel. Might as well fire out the rest of these. It's a really bizarre gun. I think it's a little more controllable. It looks like a hunting rifle from like the 50s. Now let's get to another interesting weapon, which you're probably familiar with this if you've seen some video games, especially like Battlefield 4. This is the Mp412 Rex. Brian?
The Mp412 Rex is a double-action/single-action revolver made in Russia in 1993. It is a break-action revolver chambered in .357 Magnum. It never entered production due to the ban of imported Russian firearms in the US during the 90s.
Yes, very interesting break-action revolver. Much like the Webley revolver we already have. See, it breaks open like that. And it uses .357 Magnum. As Brian mentioned, this was never actually brought into full production. But, you know, one thing I like about this revolver, the real one actually automatically ejects the spent casings, whereas most revolvers you have to use the ejector rod. Very nice. So, kind of standard. What's not so standard is this little revolver. This this is one of the more interesting revolvers that I've seen in this game. This, if I can find it, is the OTS 38 chambered in 7.62 by 42 millimeter.
The OTS 38 is a double-action revolver that has been in production since 2002. It is a silent revolver because of its unique design.
You'll notice the speed loader, the casings are on this moon clip, as Anton showed off in his vlog. And you notice that the revolver breaks open from the right, not the left, and it actually swings out in a swivel instead of you know, going out like this. It goes like this. It's really cool. But that's not the coolest thing about this weapon. Here, you load this. Now what's interesting about this weapon, it is quiet. You'll notice there's no suppressor. That's because of the specialized firing mechanism this weapon has. I'll let Brian explain it.
The 7.62 by 41mm SP4 Imulus cartridge uses a captive piston, creating a gas seal that eliminates muzzle flash and loud report upon firing. They emit no report or flame upon firing because the gases are contained within the case. The cases are also kept in the cylinder, preventing the sound of ejected cases.
So yeah, because of that, it's very, very quiet, and you'll notice that the barrel up here, obviously, but you'll notice this here, well, that's an integrated laser sight.
Actually, Sergey has it backwards. The top of the revolver is actually the laser sight. The barrel actually sits below the axis pin, firing from the lowest cylinder chamber.
Now, listen carefully. Actually, I'm going to reset the target real quick. Now, let's go ahead and spawn a silhouette target this time. Now, listen carefully at this revolver. Hear how quiet that is? Because of the way this gun's designed, you don't need a suppressor. The weapon itself is pretty much integrally suppressed. And you'll notice the entire clip comes out, not the separate casings. This is one interesting weapon. Very, very interesting. But I guess that's a theme for rare and exotic revolvers. Speaking of, we have one more to show off. The Webley Fosberry, which I'll go and show it off the panel here. Now it's just like the Webley Mark 6, also chambered in .455. But as always, Brian will explain it.
This is an interesting one. The Webley Fosberry is a recoil-operated revolver that was produced from 1901 to 1924. The entire barrel and cylinder section reciprocates upon firing. However, as cool as that sounds, the revolver had issues. It was more susceptible to jamming in muddy and rainy conditions. The revolver also had to be manually cocked, pulling the entire barrel and cylinder assembly, which was a two-handed affair.
Yes, this revolver actually reciprocates when you fire it. Now, I'm not going to look at the target instead, I'm going to look at the revolver so you can see for yourself. Yeah, you have to cock the hammer first. Now, moves pretty fast, but the whole thing reciprocates as opposed to most revolvers, which is pretty interesting. Only had this in slow motion. But yeah, those are all the new guns that were added, but that's not all the toys we got to play around with. So tune in for the next video and we'll show off the grappling tools and the explosives. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you look forward to the next one. Till then, do widzenia.